Hiya, welcome back. Alright, midweek, a little bit of simple skills, but kind of not really. In the course of the last video, that doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any more sense either. Well, you can see what's going on here, can't you? Nothing much really, right. In the last few days I've had, or the last few videos I've had a chance to get a whole day in the garage, which has been absolutely fantastic. Stomped on a little bit, made some progress. Kind of got this so far. Not sure about it, really. It's kind of working, it's doing what I intended it to do. That's all square. It's acceptable fabrication, but I'm not sure where I'm going to go with that or not.
We've had another idea.
I've had another idea, but we'll come to that another time.
Yeah.
I may use that for something else. This idea I've had was to do something completely different to that, and I'm waiting for some parts, and I'll bring it to you at the weekend in the next video, hopefully if the parts are right. But for now I want to do this as a bit of simple skills. This video raised at the weekend the same question 5 times. Why do you heat the metal up and not bend it when it's hot? Why do you wait for it to go cold and then bend it? Okay, well I thought kind of in the past I've done videos and mentioned that. It's the process of annealing. I'll spell it there. To anneal a piece of metal means to heat it so that it becomes soft. Not when it's hot, not just when it's hot, but soft when it cools down as well. Now, you can Google it, you can look up what annealing means, because I'm not going to bore you with a lengthy explanation because it's just boring. What I'm going to do instead is show you how it works, because that's far more interesting. In simple terms, to anneal a piece of steel, or any piece of metal really, you can do it to aluminium and all sorts of stuff. Did I say aluminium then?
You got told off for talking American the other day.
Speaking like an American, so I mustn't do that. Aluminium, you can do it different ways. There are different ways to anneal metal. And it's quite simply the process of heating it to a given temperature so that the molecules of the steel or the metal relax and separate off and the metal becomes quite soft. It's only temporary. The minute you start moving it around or hitting it with a hammer, it becomes hard again. But that's kind of blacksmithing technology. It's very, very old. Annealing is something that goes back to the hills. It's a really old technology and I love it to bits. And I always use it because if you're bending a piece of steel, what I wanted to do in making this, come here, pen. I wanted this little square box piece to be sharp edges. I wanted these nice sharp edges, not rounded radiused edges. Now this steel, as you can see, if you look in close, it is quite thick. It's actually 1.4 mil thick, so it's quite chunky. And to get a sharp edge on that, you need to make it soft. You can do it when it's red hot, but there's a danger to that. You burn yourself, you set fire to your garage and all that. So I'm just going to show you quite simply how to anneal a piece of metal, show you what happens. It's quite interesting. If you've never done it, then get a little bit of scrap metal and have a go. It's quite interesting. I'm going to show you, I've got a thin bit like that and a thicker bit like that. This is just 2 bits of the same steel, just 2 scrap offcuts. That's the thin bit and I'm going to keep that in its normal state. And I'm going to heat this bit up to red heat. Just with a standard blow lamp. Right. Okay, so you heat it up cherry red, like the toolbox colour, and then it will go cold very quick. Blow lamps like this is just a propane mix gas blow lamp thing you just get from the DIY store. You could use an oxy torch and that would take seconds to whiz across there. And then you let it cool down naturally. This is the fundamental issue. If you're interested in this, it's a fascinating subject. One of my favourite YouTube contributors is Mr. Chandler Dickinson. Now Chandler is a blacksmith, a self-taught blacksmith. He's gone from a forge in his back garden to a proper workshop and a forge he's built himself, and he makes everything himself. He experiments, he makes mistakes, and he learns from that, and he just improves all the time. And he does proper old school blacksmithing skills, and I've learned a lot from watching him, and I love the process. I love the subject to bits, I really do. If I could be any skill or any profession in the world, I'd be a blacksmith. I absolutely would. I just love it because it's kind of blokey, isn't it? It's kind of geezer-like, isn't it? You know
Yes.
what I mean? So right, now the principle of this, if you're going to blacksmith, this comes back to the times when the blacksmith or the armourer, which they may well have been, would make swords and armour and all sorts of things, and they would shape metal. Now, if you're going to soften a piece of metal so you can work it into a shape using hammers and anvils and tools and whatnot, then you have to get it hot to cherry red, which I've done across that bar, across the middle there, and let it cool naturally. Now the process, if you quench it, honestly, you can Google all this, you can learn about all this, and there's the knowers out there will tell me that I'm probably quite slightly wrong here and there, but honestly, stick that in some cold water and get all the steam and everything. Very spectacular, very, it's quite a cool, fun thing to do, but that will make the metal hard, and that's the opposite effect. To anneal it, to make it soft, you heat it up and let it cool down naturally. Actually, if you want it really soft, you can take what a lot of the blacksmith guys will do. They'll make knives and blades from files, because a file is an incredibly good quality piece of steel, but it's extremely hard. So you can't work it into a knife or a blade while it's like that. So what they do is they'll cook it in a furnace, they'll get it up to a temperature for ages, and then they'll put it in a fire. What often they'll do is they'll bury it in the embers of a fire, bury the fire over the top of it, bury earth over the top of that, and just leave it overnight and let it, and it might take hours and hours and hours to cool down. The slower the metal cools down, the softer it will be when you come to work it. So that's what annealing basically is. I'm just going to let this cool naturally for the purpose of demonstration. I've talked enough about this. This is going to take another 5 or 10 minutes to cool down. So we'll let this cool down while I get the next little job prepared, and I'll show you what we can do with this in a minute. Mm-hmm. All right. Right, in the meantime, while that's cooling down, I thought it was way past time for a little bit more ratification of the Honourable General.
You can't help yourself.
No, I love it. Right. Now the General, I've always had the rope around the crash bars, as you know, since we did that, and I just literally was in a DIY store today picking up some tape and some bits and pieces, and I saw this. This is awesome. It's 6mm hemp rope, or sisal, call it what you like, straightforward, and I've got some idea what I'm going to do with that to add a little bit more ratness to the General. And it's not worthy of talking because it's not how to, so I'll give you a bit of music to watch while we're doing this. I'll show you what I'm doing it. In case you're wondering what this is the, on all rat and survival bikes that do loads and loads of miles, everyone should have a visor sponge. This is the fantastic invention of my great mate, Mr. Dyson. He said, take a tennis ball, cut it so it's kind of like, do you remember Why Don't You? Why don't you? Right, anyway, and you take a piece of sponge, this is just the one from under the sink, and you just push it in there, and when it rains, you use that, and you get the salt on your visor, and you wipe it. See? Clever. See?
He's clever, isn't he?
He is. This is why Mr. Dyson is my friend, because being an idiot myself, I need clever friends.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take Bash, send him for a little break. Let's vacate for a minute, my friend. There we are. Little man Bash. Okay. Right, hemp rope to match this hemp rope. It won't at the moment. The idea.
It's just a bit of fun.
It's just a bit of fun. It's not a rat bike, is it, really?
It's just
Because
daft.
you can't make a rat bike, can you? We're getting picked up on this all the
but
time.
we haven't got 25 years to wait.
Yes. I've got 25 years left.
I know.
At this rate. Now that's the point. Rat bikes are uncontrived, derelict, 20 years.
We should just call it a
building.
creation of our minds.
That's it. Well, it's a survival bike, isn't it? It's a rat and survival thing, you know, the whole survival bike thing, baby. That's what it is. Now this is going to be quite difficult with so much string. What are you laughing at? Let's just put the music on and let them watch. got to set fire things, isn't it?
You're going to get so flamed for that.
No, when Rat Queen does anything on a rat bike, she always sets fire to it. It's not a rat bike unless you set fire to it. Isn't that right, Rat Queen?
No, you didn't get the joke.
What?
I said you're going to get flamed for that.
Oh dear me.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's been a long day. Right, let's get it coloured in a little bit. It looks a bit naff like that. It's a bit naff completely. Right, there we go, bit of silly ratting. The rope will change colour to match the rest as it sort of seasons in. It's a bit yellowy gold at the minute, but it's just a rope bike, it does it. Right, at the beginning of this, we did this. We annealed this piece of metal, and we didn't anneal this one. So I don't know whether this will be enough. Let me show you. Let's stick a pair of gloves on. And only because this has got sharp edges all over it, so just chuck these on and I'll show you what I mean. The idea is that you make the metal soft by relaxing the molecules within it. You'll have to Google it. There are different methods of annealing different kinds of metal. But there's the soft patch we put through the middle of it. This is a regular piece. It kind of bends in a curved way. This one bends exactly where we softened it, almost without fail. You can try and bend it further along. It's just like butter, absolutely soft as anything. Probably won't undo now because that's work hardened it. There we are. Work hardening is when you bend it, you work it, and that hardens it. So quite simply put, the molecules relax and soften up. As soon as you bend it, they contract back again and get hard. And the proof of that is that when you work a piece of metal backwards and forwards enough, you'll break it in half. It will crack eventually. It'll actually fracture. And when you soften it, you'll get a perfect bend like that, just with your bare hands. You're trying to bend that one. It really is quite hard. As you can see, the bend is a lot wider because it's just not folding. So that's why I did that. That answers that question. Simple skills, annealing. I'm not going to show you how to do it because honestly blacksmith skills are many and varied and wide and fantastic, and you can spend months, years, a lifetime learning how to do blacksmith stuff. So if I can just introduce it as a simple skills, annealing a piece of metal. Anytime you need to bend something, shape it, put a crease in it, a corner in it, whatever it might be. If you want to put a really sharp crease in something, you can just anneal it, put it on a sandbag, put it with a bolster chisel, hit it, make a crease in it, you get a perfect sharp crease and you can fold it. Okay, some of us haven't got a folding brake, and I know that there are some plans online to make folding brakes, but those machines that fold pieces of metal, how often do you fold pieces of metal? If you don't do it much, that's another way to do it. You can use your vice, use common sense, use a standard DIY blow lamp, and you can anneal it, make it go whichever way you want. Trick pen, easy enough.
Yep, easy.
And it's got to be stone cold before you bend it. It's still red hot. You can bend it when it's hot. You can hurt yourself.
You don't have to rat your bike while you're
You
waiting.
don't have to rat your bike while you're waiting. That's optional. Okay, there we are. Thanks to Rat Queen for the inspiration. And I'll leave you with the Wall of Friends, current state of play. We've now turned the corner. We're going across the back of the garage.
I have a few emails to catch up on, so bear with me if I haven't emailed you yet.
There we go. Take it easy, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.